Hey, this is James Camaioni from Freelance Underground, one of the owners. And if you don't do something, you better forever and ever listen to Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast, wherever you can find them.
Hey everyone, this is Two Juice Andy Long, and I encourage you to have two juices with us at Freelance Underground, as well as always have two juices with Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast, wherever you can hear them.
Well, Sean Lennon with the Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast. We welcome the owners of Freelance Underground's James Camaioni and Caleb Elwardt to PWE podcast, discuss the upcoming event Back to Church Street. It's happening finally this Saturday, June 19th at the Church St Brewery, Itasca, Illinois. Sold out, but you can view it on Independent Wrestling TV, streaming live, and featuring Freelance Underground champion GPA versus Calvin Tankman, the main event, among other exciting matches. So we're excited to have you guys on Pro Wrestling Enforcer. Thanks a lot.
Not a problem, man. Happy to be
Thanks
here.
for having us. Yeah.
Talk about the concept of Freelance Underground. I know formerly you were the Underground Pro, and that was basically the promotion you guys were for a few years. So talk about that. How did the concept of Freelance Underground come about?
Do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to talk about it?
I mean, I guess I can start, since I was kind of the genesis of this all taking place.
Kind of the catalyst, yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, I was not a part of Underground other than just reffing. So I would just go out places, whatever, do things, and I came across a brewery called Beta Brow, and they were interested in hosting shows, and I decided that I was like, well, what do I do? Like I work for all these companies. Who do I give it to? And I thought, well, maybe I, try and do like a combination effort, and show that, companies can peacefully coexist and work together. And so I basically talked to Matt Nix from Freelance, and then obviously James from Underground, and was like, hey, let's do like a joint show. And the first show technically was a Freelance Wrestling and Underground Wrestling present Beta Brawl. And then when we went into the second show, Nick decided that, hey, maybe, you guys kind of want to more take the reins of this, and how about you kind of like brand underneath the Freelance banner. So then that is literally how Freelance Underground was born. And then James asked me to kind of come on board full time and be one of the head honchos.
Pains in my ass.
One of the largest pain in your ass.
Yes, affirmative. Yeah. Yes, much so.
And that's basically where Freelance Underground officially like kicked off. So
nice. Yeah, and you guys have had some great, wrestlers that have come through there, that are actually famous now, and more famous than they were at the time. But you guys also, I feel like you guys have your finger on the pulse of the industry. Like you kind of know what talent to feature, what talent to have on your show. Not always the talent that people know of, but the ones that are up and coming. And so, talk about that last show. When you had Storm Grayson finally getting that main event spot with Robert Eco Anthony. Talk about like how the match was received, the decision to put Storm in there. He's a Chicago guy, just coming down to his own.
Storm had quite a few setbacks since he, started training and started wrestling. He had both of his shoulders operated on, and every time he got that start,
right,
there was always that injury that just stopped it. And the last injury that he had saw his tag partner, Pat Monix, blow up. So, after talking with Caleb, it's like, all right, I think it's time. I think it's Storm's time to finally, let's see what he can do. He's healthy. He's not hurt. He's in the best shape of his life. He's really cleaned up his diet. The guy eats nonstop healthy. He puts in the work in the gym. He's a plant-based athlete. Looks phenomenal. Let's see what we could do with him, and see if what we what we were able to do with Monix, we could do for Storm as well.
Right. And, that was a big match for him. Didn't come out with a win. Of course, some hijinks came into play as well.
Stupid Frank the Clown.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Call hijinks what it is.
But, obviously he's going to be featured in this show as well. Has a really competitive matchup with JJ Garrett. And I think that's going to be an exciting match. And that's what the theme of you guys are doing, featuring, young talent, whether it be local or from elsewhere, but giving them that opportunity that they may not get anywhere else, right?
Exactly. Sorry, Caleb, add on if you feel like you need to. Something that both Caleb and I have always felt strong about is you could always rely on the established talent, the Ethan Pages, the Kylie Raes, the Effies now, those guys. But at some point, they're definitely not gonna be around the indies that long. Right. So you have to start. You got to start somewhere to building the next level to replace these people when they're, under the brighter lights of, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, and like Elena Black, WWE, NXT. So we always felt the need that we needed to try to stay on the pulse. And from my end, working with Brett Lauderdale from Game Changer Wrestling and seeing what he's done establishing new stars kind of rubbed off on me when I'm looking for new talent. So Caleb, what about you?
Pretty much the same. I mean, I'd say you're not going to have those other people around forever, or they might not even get picked up by another company, but they're just going to, if they're doing well, they're going to start getting booked more around the country. They're just going to be, they might be a little less available. You can't always expect them to be, you want them to be loyal to your company, but at the same time, it's like you want them to grow and get better. You don't want them just to be, only working for you or whatever. Or just, sometimes they're going to get a good opportunity. It's like, yeah, go take it. And, and then sometimes people retire. So that's another thing too. Our roster definitely has changed up, over the past couple of years, numerous times. I think keeping, on the pulse of, that's something you want to be known as, a company that stays on top of, the newer talent. And I know that sometimes it's a little tougher to do that when you're trying to, there's companies that book the hot talent, and then there's companies that book the up and coming talent. And we try and do a mix of that. And sometimes it's a little tougher of a sell just because, for a while before, I'd say, we had more of the up and coming talent and not as much of the right now at the top of the indie talent. And then we managed to get some of those people, that they got it themselves, but we tried to boost them wherever we could. And I think now at least we're getting a reputation for that, where people know that, oh, this might be a place to check out stuff, back how, even something like how IWA was back in the day. IWA was that was the hot spot, especially out here. When they used to run out here, they were the hot spot to pay attention to, in the mid 2000s of if you were working for IWA, you were probably going somewhere, or you were going to work someone who was going somewhere, which was going to help you too. So we're hoping that we can get on that kind of level of just being a buzz indie, so to speak.
Definitely. And then also you guys have the opportunity to run because, you can go to the suburbs. I know Logan Square has been shut down. So, talk about that because obviously your brother company or, your associate company, Freelance Pro, they haven't done anything in quite some time.
Yeah. We've been doing our best just to keep the Freelance name, still in people in the indie wrestling fans' mouths because, unfortunately, Matt Nix isn't able to in the city of Chicago. Now, he could finally start to do something with the restrictions being lifted. So we kind of made it part of our mission to lend to the Freelance name, not try to necessarily surpass what's going down in the city, but try to be an addition to what Freelance is all about. Try to keep the same mission statement that Freelance had from day one, and that's bring some of the bigger the people that you want to see. Plus, hey, these guys are on the uprise as well. So yeah, being in the suburbs definitely helps. We've got great partnerships with the venues that we started to run in the suburbs as well. Can't speak highly enough of the people at Church St Brewing Company.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun place. You know, I'm excited to check it out this Saturday. And everybody, tickets are sold out, but make sure to check it out IWTV Live. You know, we talked about the Storm Grayson, JJ Garrett. You know, talk about the matchup a little bit more. How do you think they may go out there and steal the show on Saturday night?
This match actually was supposed to happen at the show that we had to cancel due to coronavirus, but it had one additional player and Blake Christian in it. So being able to revisit this to once again showcase Storm, but JJ Garrett, who's been up and down as far as in wrestling, out of wrestling, in wrestling, and right now he's had a massive resurgence. He's super motivated as well and wants to, you know, prove that he is one of the top notch guys on the independents right now. Yeah, this is definitely, in my opinion, definitely a show stealer for sure.
Definitely. You have anything?
Dude, just join on in, brother.
Oh, no.
Did I put you to sleep?
I mean,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I think so too, and I think it's one of those. I mean, already I think what we've announced for the show and what hasn't even been announced as well. I think like any match has potential to steal the show. Like there's not. I almost look at the show and I'm like, well, this could one day I'll look at it and be like, oh, this could steal the show, and then I'm like, wait, but this match could be like. Every match is a potential show stealer and like an underdog match at the same time. I feel like where any one of them can emerge. And like I said, we know it's sold out, but people really should tune in to IWTV because while we have announced everything, there's going to be surprises, and that's
something. Sorry, Caleb, go ahead. I didn't know.
I would say there's going to be surprises for the rest of the year. I guarantee you. There's going to be unexpected things occurring, and we're hoping to keep people on their toes and make it, you know, that excitement where it's like, what's going to happen at this show?
Right. And that's exactly pretty much what I was going to say as well, is that our mission, I think now for this year is give you a show that you can't miss. And if you decide to miss it, you're going to be really upset that you weren't there when the things that are going to happen. Giving the paying audience, especially for this show, with it being sold out, with the old restrictions that we had, you're gonna be sorry you didn't buy a ticket. Don't waste time for our next show because you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know who or what is gonna be on the show.
I would say the added excitement, even that for us, is we're putting together all these matches that we're like, well, these should all be good, you know, but we don't know how good some of these matches might end up being, to where even for us, it's like, oh man, we thought that was going to be good, but it was way better than, you know, I mean, like, for example, like going back to, the last show, I mean, there was quite a few matches that people were blown away by, that some people either, you know, weren't expecting to be blown away by, or it was still like, even like, oh, that's going to be a good match, and it was still better than we even expected it to be.
The two matches that come to my mind on that point are Cole Radrick and Angel Esculero, and then August Matthews and Jordan Oliver.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I 100% would agree with that. Like that's one was kind of a little overlooked, and the other one, everyone I think thought was going to be good, and then it was like, oh wow, like while I mean I was reffing, you know, August and Jordan, and during the match I was like, oh wow, they're doing this. Like mid-match I knew, I'm like, oh, this is going better than expected, and we still expected it to be good.
Nice. And yeah, we have you mentioned Cole Radrick. He's going to be at the next event, of course, obviously this Saturday against Sage Phillips. You know, he talked about coming back. I had, you know, interviewed him for my podcast, and he was very excited to come back to Freelance after the Secret Stash.
Yeah, he'll be teaming with Sage Phillips.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not against. Teaming with him.
You know, talk about women's wrestling. You know, it's only gotten bigger since, you know, being featured. You know, major matches. You have 2 women's matches lined up. You know, Laynie Luck, Billie Starkz, and Blair Onyx and Kayla Cassidy, you know, talk about how important it is to be featuring these women on your show and, you know, always being able to, you know, kind of, you know, predict what the industry wants next, right?
I mean, I have been a huge backer and just champion of putting women's wrestling out there as much as possible. Like I just have Dave to thank. Dave Frazak is the one I have to thank for like really opening my eyes to, you know, what women's wrestling like could be and has become. I just remember still attending the Volcano Girls show that he did for IWA. It was in Hammond. And I contacted him immediately after that. And I already knew Dave. And I said, whatever you need, you know, for a future show, or, you know, then I think, you know, he announced like, you know, running Shimmer. I'm like, whatever you need, like, I will help you. Like, I don't even need to ref on these shows. Like, just, I see what you're doing and I believe in what you're doing and I want to support what you're doing. So anything you need to help. And Dave has been extremely gracious to me, as well as all of the women wrestlers that have, you know, been in Shimmer. And, you know, he brought me in and said, yeah, you can ref. And, you know, I help, like, you know, with airport runs and getting people around, is anything he needs. And I really believe in that product. And I've seen like how much it's branched out to, you know, other companies then, you know, starting to take women's wrestling just more seriously than it used to be. And I definitely try to carry that over to, you know, our brand. You know, I definitely want to be, you know, spotlighting women's wrestling, spotlighting women that maybe aren't getting spotlighted elsewhere. And it should be done. I mean, and I think it's being done pretty well mostly now. Like a lot of places are really focusing on it. And we're also big fans of, you know, doing intergender as well. I don't see those lines like some people may see them. I'm like, good wrestlers are good wrestlers, man. Like that's it. Like you put two people in that can wrestle, can, you know, tell a good story, can engage the crowd. It doesn't matter what they are, just they're wrestlers, and that's what it is.
I know with the whole intergender thing, I think it hit me recently because we saw Shayna Baszler, even though it doesn't really count as like a, you know, a tradition, you know what I mean? A traditional, you know, intergender match, since she wasn't taking on another, you know, male wrestler, more like a manager. But when she wrestled that one guy who was a manager for Nia Jax, that was interesting. Reginald, yeah. So I mean, I guess in some form it does become mainstream. Maybe not the way you guys present it, but
absolutely, intergender wrestling has its place. It does. It honestly does. And if the upper echelon of companies don't want to do it, that's fine. That's their prerogative. It's their business. It's how it's quite all right with me. We're going to continue to do it and feature those types of matches.
Definitely. And with Laynie Luck, you know, she and recently she and GPA, you know, they had this thing viral, you know, the whole wedding proposal in the ring. And I think that was like right after they wrestled each other or right before.
Yeah. Apparently,
yeah.
Apparently I was the only one that knew that was going to happen.
Okay.
So that was cool. Yeah, it went viral. You know, Laynie got engaged to that guy because no one gave a damn who he was. They only cared about her.
Yeah. Nice. But like even like ESPN showed it, and you know it's crazy like how viral that went, and you guys featured them in one of your matches in your last show.
And they're our champions too, which is even more mind-boggling.
Definitely. Yeah, it should be an exciting one. I think, you know, people who aren't familiar with Billie Starkz, very young talent, but she's been doing so much at an early age. So her and Laynie, they've wrestled each other before, and this will be another exciting match.
Yeah, and when they did wrestle before, they were nowhere near where they are now as far as their talent is concerned. They've both grown so much. I think it was like a year or two ago when they wrestled. I know they were on a Black Label Pro show against each other. They may have wrestled one other time. I'm not 100% certain on that. But Laynie had mentioned, hey, I would love to work Billie Starkz again.
Nice.
And at the time, we're like, I don't, you know, Not sure. We'll see. And then now just seems like the appropriate time to do it.
Definitely. Be exciting. Definitely an up-and-comer like Billie Starkz, Laynie. She's been featured in Ring of Honor recently too. So that's exciting names. Those are exciting names to look forward to watching.
For sure.
And, also talk about, the next match, the main event, which is GPA Calvin Tankman for the FU Championship. Having Tankman in his main event, how is it exciting to see him against GPA, a classic heel. You never know what's up his sleeve, And, he was supposed to actually, I remember the last Freelance Pro show, he won a title match. He was supposed to take on Effie in the future. I forget the name of the championship. It was one of those.
The Legacy Championship.
The Legacy Championship. Yeah. So, but, now he's in a great position where he's the FU champion, and this is going to be an exciting match.
Definitely. Definitely going to be the biggest challenge to GPA to date. Mm-hmm. Definitely a different dynamic than what he's used to. Definitely predicting some beat up GPA occurring. But Tankman's been on our radar for quite some time, and it was just a matter of how can we get him here. Because another thing that we don't like to do, we don't like to just have people on the show just to have them on the shows. We want to have a purpose for them being on the show. And Tankman's one of those talents where if you don't have something that makes sense, especially with him being with MLW now, if you don't have something that makes sense, don't waste his time. Don't waste our money. Yeah, okay, so people probably want to see him, but is there something else that we could gave the fans that they would have liked a lot more than just seeing, Calvin Tankman wrestling against Wrestler X? No, now you get Calvin Tankman versus GPA, one of the most hated men in the city of Chicago, for the championship, and everyone's predicting beat up GPA. So let's give this special moment to our fans that sold out the show and are excited for wrestling just to be back.
Yeah, been too long, right?
God, it really has. I've been giving this guy crap since last year because we didn't know what to expect with the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Last year, I'm like, yeah, dude, nothing's happening for the rest of 2020. He's like, no, fall, we'll be back, fall, definitely, fall. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm like, I don't want to chance it. He's like, no, fall will be good. And then here we are, summer of 2021, and finally, restrictions lifted, capacities are back to normal. We're still going to play it safe,
right?
As safe as we possibly can. We're not trying to pack people in like sardines, hopefully. Just give everybody, a little bit of space to have a good time.
Definitely makes sense. And would you ever think about doing an outdoor show, or did that not figure into, what your plans?
We actually had talked to Church Street originally.
Okay.
About coming back and being like, hey, you have that large area behind Church Street. Well, let us go outside. At least bring something, get something back. Because outdoors you could spread out so much, you're not limited to an indoor capacity of 50 people and 50 people only. So we originally wanted to do that, and Caleb and I went up there, and they actually talked us out of being outside. When all of 2019, they tried to talk us into going outside.
We had at least one or two shows that we were going to try and run. Was it 3? Outside that all we called it beforehand just because of weather or whatever it may be.
And weather actually stopped it. Weather actually did stop all 3 shows. It rained the day before for the first one. It was hot and humid for the second one. There was no way we were gonna make anyone be outside. And the third one, it rained the entire week before. So it was nothing but mud. And ring plus ring truck plus wrestlers plus fans. Their back patio area would have been nothing but a mud pit. It would have been an outdoor outlaw
mud show.
Nice. Yeah, that would have been insane.
And then we'd have to put Trevor Outlaw in the main event or something just because it's an outlaw mud show, and we don't want to do that.
Well, you will be part of the Second City Summit. Talk about that, having an event. How exciting is that to be a part of that weekend? And especially going to be a lot of eyes, a lot of people from all over the country. AEW.
No pressure. No pressure, right? No pressure at all.
Game Changer Wrestling, Black Label Pro,
Freelance, and then us.
Yeah.
Caleb and I have been very, very fortunate to have a good working relationship with Brett Lauderdale and Game Changer Wrestling since they came to Chicago the first time. We were kind of their liaison while they were trying to really get things going here. And Brett has definitely leaned on us. We've kind of leaned on Brett for some stuff, and it's just been amazing. So we got the opportunity to be part of the restructured collective in Indianapolis. That was awesome. Caleb and I actually worked all 12 events.
We did.
Over the course of 4 days, I think I slept 9 hours total.
I slept a few more hours.
Wow.
I won't talk about why that is, but sleep apnea is not necessarily the best thing to share a room when that other person has issues with sleeping. So I didn't sleep much because I couldn't, because it was extremely loud, but I'm not going to talk about that at all. So we got the opportunity. It was amazing. We worked all 4 shows. So, we actually went and secured the venue for this show.
Awesome.
And I mean, we're excited, nervous. I'm more nervous about this one than I am about what we did in Indianapolis, because it is home. Like, you don't want to have a bad outing. You don't want to have a bad show. You don't want to have a bad attendance when you're home, because then that doesn't look good.
There's going to be more eyes on us in this one for sure, too.
And
I mean, you got to think about, not only are we're at home base, kind of, or home base adjacent, and with all the wrestling fans that are going to be like in town, like we're going to have people watching that have probably never even heard of Freelance before, that might be there in the building live, watching it. And it's like, yeah, it's a little different. And like I said, you're the home team, like you never want to lose, on home field. So we definitely want to have a good showing and just make sure that, we represent,
definitely
the brand, how we've been representing it. And huge thanks to Brett for letting us represent our brand throughout, the whole pandemic. He was keeping us, that slivers of relevance were coming from him most of the time.
Nice.
Even sending out the students for the Fight Forever
yes,
show that he did. Like, Brett really helped us keep Freelance and Freelance Underground existing, as well as just keep us existing in wrestling too. Because I mean, we went out and helped out whenever Brett needed it, and it made us remember, like, okay, this is what we're working towards eventually again. This feeling.
Yeah, our summer last year was spent in Indianapolis.
Yes, it was
at White River State Park. Yeah, and now, I mean, to really add on to the whole, we're the home team. Not only are we the home team, we're batting first. We're the first show. We essentially set the tone for the entire summit.
Definitely.
So, no pressure. No. I have lots of gray. I'll probably have a lot more come September, but it's definitely a position where I feel more comfortable. And I think Caleb definitely now feels a lot more comfortable too in being in where that high stakes, high pressure situation. That whole weekend's going to be great. Absolutely great.
Definitely. You guys definitely deserve that happening. And I believe that your last show that was scheduled before the pandemic started, you were supposed to have, I think, Nick Gage was supposed to be there, right?
Yes.
So,
yes, you are.
Maybe you'll get him.
Maybe.
Maybe get him back.
Who knows?
Right?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lips are,
I got
sealed
you.
right now on how that show is going to pan out currently.
Nick Gage is definitely a person that we like having on our side.
For sure. And has he been a part of Freelance Underground before?
That was supposed to be his first show for
That
us.
was okay.
He did work freelance at Logan Square. He wrestled Craig Mitchell for the FU championship.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so that'd be great to see you guys bring him in.
He has said it, I know, a whole bunch of times to me every time he sees me. He's like, in a special Nick Gage way, I effing love Chicago. I love the fans. I love everything about it. I want to be there. I want to be back in Chicago. So I'm sure he's going to make several appearances throughout that weekend.
Yeah, and one thing that he really liked, I remember, about his freelance appearance in particular, was the fact he was getting booed because Craig was the guy there, and Nick Gage don't get booed very often.
Right.
And he was like, "Oh man, that felt good." Like, he liked the little switch up and the normal what he's used to.
The only 2 times I've ever heard Nick Gage get booed were against Craig Mitchell at Logan Square Auditorium, and surprisingly against Darren Corbin at Summit Park in Summit, Illinois, for the Freelance Underground versus GCW show in 2019.
Yeah,
and those are the only 2 times. The freelance fans, they love their own regardless of the connection they had with them. And when somebody steps on our turf, they band together with the worst of the worst. The only person they didn't cheer for on the freelance side was GPA.
Okay, nice.
GPA would get in the ring, they would boo. GPA would then either tag in Marche Rocket and Acid Jazz, and then they would cheer for those 2.
Yeah, that sounds like GPA, man. Is there any plans for you guys to do any festivals? Is that in the works? You guys were part of the festivals before, right?
We've done a Taco Fest. I think that was it. Yeah. When I first came on board, I thought getting Fest was gonna be cake. I was I made a
freaking wrong, dude.
I made a list of like every festival in Chicago that we potentially could run. And was like, okay. And I even had a hookup. I had a contact that worked for one of the 2 main companies that hosts festivals in Chicago. And she couldn't even get me into anything. It is so hard to crack into a festival. Once you get in, it seems like you're kind of in for life. But the problem is it's hard to get in the door with a lot of them. And honestly, that's one thing that Carlos with Gali Lucha, they have had an easy time getting in because people view the Lucha as more of a attraction than just pro wrestling.
Right.
It's a real tough area to crack into. I know Nick's had a few for freelance. He did a 6 Corners Barbecue Fest. He had Sausage Fest and maybe a couple other ones. But yeah, every year, I really, obviously I didn't really look at it too much this year because I didn't even know what was going to be happening, but it's really been a much harder thing. Believe me, if we can get into the fest, we will take them, but it's hard. It's really hard to get into them.
We will.
They have their ways.
Whatever I can do to help, man, let me know.
Yes, anything. You know someone, you gotta
no idea
hook up for a connection.
He has no idea what he just did.
I am sliding into your DMs, sir.
No worries.
You made his day and you made mine worse.
We'll see, whatever we can do. Then I had to ask, last Saturday night was the return of Kylie Rae to the ring. I know we never see that again. I don't know if you guys had seen the match. We've heard Holly dead, but obviously she's still the Freelance Underground Pro Champion or Freelance Pro Champion, right?
She's the Freelance Wrestling Champion.
Yeah,
she's the Freelance World Champion.
Freelance World. So, any thoughts about Kylie? Coming back to her stomping grounds? Would you like to entertain that thought? Or
I've known Kylie longer than she's been actually wrestling.
Okay.
I've known Kylie since 2011, a couple years before she even started training. My thing will always be her, and as long as she's okay, That's all that matters to me. If she wants to wrestle, go for it. If she wants to work with us, awesome. If she doesn't want to work with us anymore, I'm okay with that too, as long as she's okay. So if Kylie ever entertains the thought of, hey, I would love to come back, it would definitely be something we would talk about for sure. I wouldn't necessarily say no to it because she's home team. She's freelance family. So most definitely would entertain it. It would have to be for the right reasons, because once again, we don't even just, hey, look, Kylie's on the show. Like, it's gotta make sense for her to sink her teeth into what she's going to be doing. Otherwise, it's just why hurt myself? Why hurt my body for just hey, I'm here, and then nothing really to sink her teeth into.
Definitely.
Yeah, our door is always open for her, always.
Absolutely. She's a former tag champ for us. She's still, as far as I know, the current freelance world champion. So yeah, the door is always open for Kylie Rae.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I'm like you said, if she's doing well, that's what's most important, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Her well-being means more than any wrestling match. So for sure.
And who would you like to bring into Freelance Underground that hasn't been part of your event yet? Anyone like you publicly you can mention?
We definitely have a list of people.
Literally a list of people.
To touch back on what we do as far as the mixture of talent that we bring in. We have a spreadsheet. The king of spreadsheets. Andy Long loves spreadsheets, so we have a spreadsheet of local talent that we would like to use, out of state talent that we'd like to use, out of country talent that we would like to use, as well as separated into singles competitors and tag teams. I know for me, Lee Moriarty is definitely somebody that him and Isaiah wrestled at the Collective. Both competitors were not 100% in that match. I still killed it. Still one of my favorite matches from that weekend. So definitely get Lee Moriarty to Chicago. Who else, Caleb? I know we definitely had.
I'm just gonna float things out into the universe just to make them maybe happen. But I'm still gonna say, and this
Batista's not coming in.
No,
Batista or Stone Cold or anybody like that. Don't float those names out into the universe. We don't have the budget.
Someone who I've been a long time fan of, and am also personally have always gotten along with as well. Eddie Kingston is my ultimate guy that I think finally isn't underrated anymore. Thank God, but took way too effing long to get to that point. But I would love to see him come in and do like some kind of run with us. Just he fits our mold of someone who goes out there to tell a story with every little ounce of his being, whether it's on the mic, in the ring, doesn't matter. He's always progressing the story. James and I have talked about this, but it's just not an avenue that we've really been able to conquer yet. But I would love to get international talent of some kind. I'm not talking just like Canada and Mexico, like I'm talking like overseas,
Sure.
And get some of those people. Like
I know Charlie Evans is on my list.
Mine is.
I think she's awesome.
Yeah,
I think Charlie Evans is very, very underrated for the stuff that she's currently doing. Now she's doing death matches.
She's doing everything.
She's literally doing everything, and she's a little badass. So definitely to get Charlie Evans in. Would like to get Shazza McKenzie.
Yeah, maybe we'll try that again sometime.
She was supposed to do a couple shows with us last year and got her whole WrestleMania trip here ruined by the pandemic. A lot of the Texas talent, Roxy specifically, Gino Medina, definitely. Mysterious Q, he's another Texas guy that I've been watching and would love to bring him to Chicago. He's a big guy that I think that the Chicago fans would eat up.
I was big on, at least from the Collective weekend. I loved, I don't know if you, Sean, saw him at all, but Starboy is Literally, that kid if he sticks with it, he's going somewhere.
Daniel McCabe, I know.
Oh, yes.
Caleb loved him and Lee Moriarty. I'd like to get Jordan Oliver here again, but he's such a talent that you got to have somebody that can actually do what he can do. You can't just give him a random guy. But man, so many people. I'd like to get Nick Gage in just for our show, not necessarily a collaborative show with others.
Right.
Who else? Anybody?
Yeah.
Anybody worth mentioning?
I mean, the list is. Yeah. I feel like the list just goes on forever. Like, I mean, and it's literally like a top to bottom list where we'll name guys who are, obviously on TV and people that are people that are out of the country. But then it's like I said, like someone like Starboy or, like I was a fan of too from, seeing him was Dylan McKay. I like Dylan McKay a lot too.
Marcus Mathers is another guy, another H2O student.
Yeah,
so there's just a bunch. There is a bunch of guys that we would love to get in, and girls.
People that are like still up and coming, all the way to people that have definitely made it, like are on our list. Our list just covers it all, like every level.
Specifically two people that we've been trying to book, and every time we try to book them, they're always booked as Pretty Proper. Savage Gentleman, Victor Benjamin, and Lady Frost. We've been trying to get. We have been in contact with them, had great conversations with the both of them, and every time we throw something, we're booked already. Booked already. Or they ask, "Hey, we're open this date. Do you have any room?" No, damn it, no, we don't. I wish we could have contacted you to know that you weren't busy that day, and we would have had you come in. So I could go on forever.
The list is always growing.
I also wanted to get your thoughts. Braun Strowman priced himself out for his independent. He wants an independent appearance, 6 figures. So what does that say to you?
That says that Braun Strowman is not worth my time, especially considering the fact that Braun Strowman at the beginning of the pandemic made some comments that he shouldn't have made about any of the independent workers out there, where he said they should have worked harder, which okay, well, I guess you didn't work hard enough because here you are unemployed.
Right.
You're getting 90 more days of your downside guarantee. Congratulations. You earned it, I suppose, for being a big meat castle that you call yourself. And what are you going to do after that? No independent promotion is going to come up with high-end 5 figures is what I had heard that he tried to get. He's, when Mysterio was not under contract, he was trying to get 10 to 12,000, which for Rey Mysterio is 1,000% worth it because you're gonna make that money back. But for Braun Strowman to want something like that, when the matchups are few and far between of what would make sense, other than just have him on for autographs and to beat somebody up really quick.
Right.
Like, I mean, we would have, if it wasn't astronomical, we have one match and one match only that would make sense based on the fact that he roughed up GPA backstage at Monday Night Raw for when GPA did some extra work. Outside of that, you would have nothing really for Braun Strowman.
And that would be our one match and one match only for the entire year, because we'd be budgeted way out already. I think it shows that Braun doesn't know the indies. He has no idea that no indie has that kind of money to be spending. I mean, especially when you see all the other people that have been released that are obviously working for a much lesser price. And some of them I think might be on par or just a sliver under like where Braun even was in terms of their, how, known they are, to where it's like, you have to know how to price yourself once you hit the indies, and he just obviously he either doesn't understand that or he just doesn't care to work. Right. And he's out putting it out there where it's, if anyone wants to pay me this, yeah, I'll go do it. But other than that, it's you're pricing yourself out of the market to where you don't have to work then either.
Definitely makes sense. Well, I appreciate you guys being on this Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast. Thanks. You guys were a lot of fun, and look forward to Saturday. I'll be there. I was able to get a ticket, so I secured a ticket. So I'll be there for Freelance Underground back to Church Street. And just please, let us know where we can follow you, social media and otherwise as well.
Freelance Underground on Facebook, on Instagram, and YouTube. On Twitter, it's at Freelance UNDRGD because they didn't give me enough characters to spell out underground.
I got Twitter. I couldn't even tell you what the ad of it is. I just know I'm Two Juice Andy Long on Twitter.
Okay.
Cool. Like I said, I'm on there occasionally.
Oh yeah, thank you for retweeting the announcements today.
Yeah, you're welcome. I sign in, once every, 4 or 5 days.
And
actually, be happy because thank August Matthews for my frequency of sign-ins because he likes to message me more on Twitter than he does on Facebook. So I have to sign in on Twitter more often.
That's okay. That's okay. I've given most of the Freelance Academy guys my phone number and I tell them, text me if you need me. Text me if you have something you need to say. Don't abuse having my cell phone number. And they still message me on Facebook.
It's the world now. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's true.
August Matthews being the main one.
Well, I hope you guys have a successful show. Everybody check it out. Independent Wrestling TV. It's this Saturday, June 19th. Huge event. Freelance Underground presents Back to Church Street. And James Camaioni, appreciate you being on Wrestling Enforcer podcast.
Absolutely.
And you as
Thank
well.
you for having me.
Anytime.